We'll
You never know when I'm done.
We'll
You never know when I'm going to be done.
I think you're like a crack fiend, okay? I think you're addicted to this. I'll call your bluff. I'll see you here when you're 70,
Okay.
and the Vikings still wouldn't have won a Super Bowl.
That was last week. I did contemplate retirement during the second half of Monday night's game between the Vikings and the Rams. I woke up the next morning feeling dangerous and was ready to get back at it. But as I said last week, and I'm not going to make this about myself, and I'm not going to do a will I or won't I. I'm just telling you, Chris, there will come a time when it's a couple minutes till 7, and you're expecting me to kind of breeze past the camera, to put my makeup on and sit down, and I just won't show up. And you'll be like, where did he go?
Oh,
Did he
yeah,
die?
yeah.
Did he slip on the ice?
You're addicted. There's no way. And I got so much reaction about the fiend thing last week from friends of mine that listen to the podcast all over the NFL. Like, had people all the time, right? And really, I wanted to say, most of them, because you and Pete are very much on me because I didn't put the D on fiend, I guess, right? You guys, you freaking squares, you. And, yeah, I just want to let you know, a lot of the homies out there were like, how does he not know what a fiend is? He doesn't know what a fiend is? Unbelievable. So I got a lot of funny texts regarding that.
I know where the D from fiend went. I know where it went. You know where it went? You know where it went?
Yeah.
No, it went to the end of field goal. That's where you put it.
Yeah.
Because I keep hearing from people, why in the fuck does Chris say field gold? Where in the hell did that come from? Was that a Sting song, Fields of Gold? Is that what influenced your brain and worked
in
it?
the fields of gold.
And I almost said it to you because what'll happen is you'll be talking and you'll say something that I'm like, oh boy, I got to circle back to that. But then by the time you're done, there's something even better to mention. And I was going to say to you within the past couple of weeks, what the fuck is this field goal thing? So I've been hearing from people. So now we know where the D went.
Yeah.
He dropped the D from fiend,
right,
and he put it at the end of field goal.
Right, I guess so. I don't even know I do that. I don't know. Field gold? It sounds like I'm saying with a D at the end. I'm going to be more aware of that because I'm certainly
check the tape.
I'm certainly stupid and unaware of all the other things I've ever said, right? And I always admit it. That's one where it's like I know that one and I don't feel like I'm saying that, but maybe the way I'm ending the word makes it sound like a D. I'll try to self-scout thyself and improve that one on this podcast. We'll see if I can do it.
It definitely sounds like a D.
I thought you were going somewhere else where I'm wondering where the D was. I thought, you're a dick type joke was coming up any second. I thought that's for sure where we were going.
Didn't that happen with Maurice Jones-Drew like last year? Like something about the D and he made some comment and I don't know. The clip's out there somewhere, but that's not what I was talking about. I was literally talking about the letter D.
Yes, okay.
Not the D. All right. We get some feedback on YouTube, and we appreciate the folks who watch the clips. You can see this on YouTube, the full show. You'll see clips at PFT, clips that get carved up on YouTube game by game. And as we get deeper and deeper into the postseason, obviously there are fewer games. But there's a quote here, and I can't barely read it.
You want me to read it there, old timer?
No, I can see it. Always enjoy Florio and Simms. Hope you guys live forever and keep doing the pod. And, of course, that's what AI is for. And I did have this image. Between the two of us, there will be enough of our spoken words out there that they probably could AI us into infinity. We could just do the picks pod forever, and they could have somebody else make the picks. They'd probably use AI to figure out, based upon our past trends, who we'd pick in those games under those circumstances. And they just press a button, and the next thing you know, here we are. Hell, for all anyone knows, we already are AI. Wouldn't that be a mind fuck?
But I don't think either one of us are big enough to even waste AI on yet. I think that's the thing. Like, AI is only for, like, super, super famous rich people, right? Like Michael Jordan on the Gatorade commercial or something like that. We haven't hit that yet. So I don't know if they're going to be, like, trying to come up with, the AI program of dumb big meathead from New Jersey and Chia Pet overgrown hair from West Virginia. I don't think that's on their list right now.
I'm getting more and more questions from people, too, about, like, I'll see comments, and I got my hair cut last week, and the woman who cuts it said, one of the guys whose hair I cut wanted to know if your hair is real, and it's like, I really don't know what I need to do to prove that it's real. I mean, you look, it's real. Like,
it's real.
We can do all this. It's real.
Oh, it's an incredible set of hair. It's
like,
incredible.
Something would happen here. It would not survive this.
Right. Yep.
All right. It's gonna be a long
well, that's
show.
a good look. You should leave that.
That's an improvement.
I thought too on the YouTube comments. I loved at Rich who's saying the first 2 minutes is gold. Where you guys remind me of Grumpier Old Men, the movie, right? Which is like we brought that up today. You thought about what movie do men slip on ice and deal with it, and I was like, hey, Grumpy Old Men, that fit. But man, I got to read a little bit more about at Matthew Carberry 368 because this guy sounds
Matthew
brilliant.
Carberry can right off.
He sounds absolutely brilliant, Carberry. Let me explain this. Best bets would actually be the most important category because those are the picks that actually they believed in. Nobody actually bets on every game every week, LOL. To the ones you narrow down to the best bets are technically what your only real picks are. So congrats to beating Florio, Chris. Yes. Thank you, Matthew Carberry.
I now think that Matthew Carberry is a Chris Simms burner. I need to follow him closely for any commentary about weed and butts. Then I'll know.
Yes.
Then I'll know.
You will know.
That's really Christopher Simms. All right. Let's. We got time to kill here. What's that? What about best bets? Oh, yeah, speaking of best bets.
The actual show, what happened?
Yeah. What the?
Look at this.
That's good.
They got the Zapruder film here.
That's good. That's Chris from 2 years ago when he fell off the stage at the Super Bowl, and I sat there and didn't move a muscle. To me, that's good. That's good.
It is good.
We've both fallen, and we can't get up. We were both 3-3 straight up last week. Chris picks up one against the spread. I'm still up by 11. He picked up one best bets. He's up by 5.5, something like that. So for the season, I still have a one-game lead because we didn't disagree on any games straight up last week, did we? We didn't disagree.
No, we didn't disagree on anything last week. We did not, which was disappointing. And I worry about that again this week. I do wonder, and I have no idea what you're going to pick. But I do worry that, more times than not, we come to the same conclusions with a lot of these football games, and we're a lot of the times kind of in the same territory when it comes to scores and who we pick. I hope that's not the case today because I would like to beat you straight up and win 2 out of the 3 columns. But, I do know you might Jason Garrett me a little bit and just try to see who I pick and pick the same.
No, I'll send him right. Listen, don't start that shit again. We have confirmed that Jason Garrett is indeed playing those games.
Yes,
finding
he is.
out who we've picked.
What a jerk.
And deliberately picking
right.
who we picked to stay ahead of us. And it's blown up on him because he's lost the last 2. But we know he's doing that. I am not doing that. I will take a screenshot of my picks right now, and I will send them to you after we're done so you can see the timestamp is on there, 9:54 a.m. when I sent myself the email. As soon as it's done, I'll send you the screenshot so you'll see that those are my picks and those are my scores.
I like
With
it.
that said,
yes.
We've got 4 games this week. It begins on Saturday afternoon. Texans and the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. Chiefs hadn't played in 24 days. At least their key players haven't played in 24 days. Patrick Mahomes, among others. The Texans are hot. They beat the Chargers to the chagrin of Rex Ryan in the wild card round. The Chiefs are favored by 8.5, and it's not the biggest spread of the week. It is the lowest over-under at 41.5. Despite a 15-2 record, the Chiefs were just 8-9 against the spread. Chris is 15-1 picking Houston games straight up there, 15-3 picking Houston games straight up this season, and I'm 16-1 picking Chiefs games straight up this season. I probably picked them to win every week except week 18, and the one time they let me down was when the Bills beat them.
Yeah, it's 2 teams that I feel like we got a hold on. You kind of know what they are, certainly. This is an interesting matchup. I mean, we know that too. First off, I was surprised to see the spread that high when I saw that this morning. Second off, the first game, of course, was close. We know that. The Texans can play with them. The Texans have some things about their team that certainly match up or pose some problems with the Kansas City offense, right? The first thing that I will say is the Texans, their Seattle scheme, all of that, when I watch back the film of the first matchup, the Chiefs know how to attack that. right? The fact that they played the 49ers in the Super Bowl twice and had 2 weeks of preparing for that, they understand that DeMeco Ryans Seattle scheme defense. And they have a lot of plays to execute and be surgical, like I always say, right? The Seattle scheme is all about not let up the big play. You got to find 5 here, 8 here, 6 here, 5 here. That's the way you beat it. And the Chiefs have great inventory of that part of their offense to do that. What's different about the Texans compared to other teams that play the Seattle scheme is they play a lot more man-to-man. They have guys on that side of the ball, as we know, with Stingley and Lassiter that can really cover and certainly give the Chiefs some issues as far as, wait, can our guys, can Worthy or Hollywood Brown separate from those guys? That's going to be a big question. And then on top of that, Mike, as you know and we all know, Kansas City's protection, the left tackle issue has been a thing the whole year. And then when you get into the playoffs, you also know this, right? One, it's win or go home. The defense is frothing at the mouth. And the defense in Houston is being told, right, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter right now are being, we can't win the game unless you guys dominate. We can't win the game unless you dominate. We can't do it unless you get after Mahomes. We can't do it unless we make him uncomfortable. And history is those guys usually show up in those type of scenarios. So that's scary for the Chiefs. And that's where it's going to be interesting in this one. I don't know. Chiefs O, Texans D. You know, what jumps out to you? Do you got any questions for me as far as that? I did watch back the first film like I told you about and have a few pages of notes as far as the matchup on both sides of the ball.
Well, I think the big question would be from the perspective of the Texans defense and the way they got after Justin Herbert. And we know that there have been issues with the Chiefs offensive line this year, revolving door at left tackle. They've had Joe Thuney out there on an island and he will be facing the likes of Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson. I don't know how much they move those guys around, but can you see the Texans replicating against the Chiefs what they were able to do against the Chargers?
I don't know if I can to the same degree. The first thing I'd say is the Chiefs' offense is more versatile and complex, right? Pre-snap motions, and then, of course, the actual concepts they have when the ball is snapped and what they do downfield. So that's where I think they're going to pose some different problems there. Also, the Chiefs, I think the talent is greater at the skill positions than the Chargers too, right? We've seen Xavier Worthy really show up here towards the end of the year and become a staple for the offense, and they organize a lot of pass plays around him. Hollywood Brown, his first game back was that first matchup they played, right? He's going to be more in NFL game-ready shape, have his sea legs underneath him and ready to go in this one. So those are little advantages I look at with the Chiefs as compared to the first time around and go, hey, yeah, they played man the first time around the Texans defense, but right, like Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy continue to get better, and that's a dangerous proposition to roll the dice playing too much man-to-man against that group. But the protection stuff is the thing I'm not totally sure about, and if they can, that's the one area I worry about, like the Chargers game, that the left tackle or the right tackle, whoever it may be, Mahomes is under major duress and can't quite make the plays or have the time to make the plays when he needs to.
Yeah, and you know, that's the key, and I keep going back to the Mahomes playoff history, but I'm influenced somewhat by the fact that these teams played what will be 4 weeks ago to the day. And on the play that resulted in the serious Tank Dell injury, that was a touchdown that drew the score to 17-16. The kick failed right. So it was a one-point game, and the Texans had led in the game 10-7, but it was 17-16, and the Chiefs just kind of pulled away after that. They score a touchdown, Texans score a field goal, and then the Chiefs get one last field goal to win 27-19. So it was a close game, and it was in doubt. But that's pretty much every Chiefs game this year.
That's right.
Except the Steelers game on Christmas Day and the Week 18 B-team game against the Broncos where they got blown off the field. So you're always going to have that. And one of the reasons that we have said it's beneficial to the Chiefs to have that experience on a regular basis. They're not going to freak out when they get into a close game in the postseason. This will be the test. This will be the litmus test. Will the Chiefs be as calm and collected? And we've seen it in past postseasons. Mahomes will be, so those around him will likely be too. So that's why I think this one, even though it felt like it was in doubt and maybe the Texans could beat them, This is the playoffs, and the Chiefs are 2 games away from getting back to the Super Bowl, 3 wins away from becoming the first team ever to win 3 in a row. I don't see them pissing down their leg if they get into a close game with the Texans in the fourth quarter.
I hear you there. Of course I'm worried about 3.5 weeks off. Definitely, right? I worry about them more getting off to a slow start and not getting behind and then having to play, catch-up football. That would be more of my worry. But, again, too, in history, hey, they've showed Andy Reid bye weeks. It's always been special. They do have the magic touch about starting seasons off right, on the right foot and playing well. So I'm with you in that, hey, I'm worried they didn't play 3.5 weeks, but I'm going to play on what I've seen from years and years of the Chiefs, Mahomes, and Reid, and that they're ready to go, right? And that they cannot allow the Texans to play them the same way the Texans did the first time around. Right? Like I told you, the Texans had no fear of playing man-to-man against the Chiefs the first time around. And if you remember, Mahomes with the bummed ankle missed a few deep throws down the field that were like easy 30, 40-yard type plays. Didn't hit that. If they hit that stuff and the Texans play the same way on defense, that's going to be interesting. Just real quick on the Chiefs' defense versus the Texans' right? That's going to be the big thing there. The Texans, they protected okay against the Chiefs the first time around. But the Chiefs are totally healthy up front now. They got waves of guys to send at you. And I'm going to be interested again, because you've heard me say so much, the Texans got into the 3-step drop passing game last week, and that's something I've been banging the table for because it makes no sense to run play action deep passes down the field when you're one of the worst pass protecting teams in football. That'll be interesting, too, to see what the Chiefs do to combat that and how they defend this new kind of approach by the Texans offense.
Okay, so do you want me to go first, or are you going to go first?
No, I'll go first. I don't care. I trust you. I'm fucking with you, but I know you'll send me
I got
an
them right
email
here.
anyways. But I'm going to go Chiefs 27-17. That's what I'm going to do at home. I think they kind of control the football game. I think their defense will play better this time around than they did in the first matchup.
We almost had a bingo bango. We sort of did. I've got the Chiefs by 10. It's just not 27-17. It's 30-20. So we have the exact same thoughts on what the Chiefs ultimately will do, and it probably will be close. Maybe a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. Maybe the Chiefs make a stop on defense, get a touchdown to cover the spread of 8.5 points, and get the victory and advance to the AFC Championship game, which they once again, after going on the road last year for that game, they'll host it this year, and it would be the winner of Bills-Ravens, which we'll talk about coming up later in the show. For now, we go to Saturday night, Ford Field. Washington Commanders, Detroit Lions. The last time the Commanders were in the NFC Championship in 1991, they hosted these Lions. The Commanders haven't been back in 33 years. The Commanders, to get there, will have to get past the Lions. They're 9.5-point underdogs with a 55.5 over-under. It's the biggest spread of the week, and it's also the highest over-under since the Browns-Chiefs 2021 divisional playoff. The ultimate score there, total for the two teams, was 39. So, and also, 58% of the spread money's on the Lions. So there is a split with folks taking the points and taking the Commanders. Let's start talking about that one, and then we'll find out which of us, if either, will be taking the points or the Commanders.
Yeah, well, for the spread to be that big, too, that would make me think big money is on the Lions, right? The Sharks are on the Lions. Right, there's a lot of points, that's for sure. But I understand it. I mean, one, it's the Lions. It's arguably the most explosive offense in football. The big thing to me here, a little bit, Mike, the Commanders, we've talked about it a lot through the year, right? Dan Quinn's done some really good things with their defense. They don't stop the run. They are one of the worst in football at stopping the run. That, to me, is going to be problem number one, and like the first thing they're going to have to address when they get on the field Saturday night is we can't let Detroit's run game start going, because then just everything goes and we won't be able to defend anything. Now, within that, I think is Detroit going to be stubborn and go, we want to run the ball, we want to control the line of scrimmage? Because one of the mistakes I thought Tampa made last week was Washington had all these people in the line of scrimmage trying to stop the run, and Tampa was still like, we're going to try to dominate the line of scrimmage no matter what. And it was like, no, you got to throw the fucking ball. There's 9 guys at the line of scrimmage. You're not going to be able to run it, right? And it wasn't until late in the first half where they started to do the throw-first mentality, and all of a sudden offense started to open up. They made them defend the pass, and then they got into the run game kind of in the third quarter, and all of a sudden Bucky Irvin and stuff started to break loose. That would be my only concern, is that Detroit tries to do that early on in the game too much. I don't think they will. They usually come out aggressive. They're usually, like you hear me say, call your bluff, where if you go too hard into one area, they go, well, we will fuck you up in this area. So go ahead and keep going hard in that area. And that's what I expect. And, yeah, I think there's some clear advantages here for this Detroit offense in this matchup. And Washington's going to have a special day on that side of the ball to keep pace with this Lions offense.
Well, and the way to do it is the 17-play, 92-yard drive,
right,
like the one we saw. The patience that they have woven into this offense, even though you've got an incredible next-level weapon in Jaden Daniels who can run away from you, who can throw on the run, who can do all the things that we've seen from the most skilled quarterbacks currently in the NFL, operating an offense like an old Joe Montana West Coast chip down the field.
Yeah.
Take what's there, 5 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards. Defense is on its heels, and Jared Goff and Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery and Sam Laporta are all on the sideline, waiting, feeling more pressure to make something happen after the Commanders have chewed up a lot of the clock and shortened the game. We talked about it on Monday. There were like 6 or 7 drives for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield threw 18 passes for the entire game. He was very efficient when he threw, but he only threw 18 passes for the entire game. So that's a way to keep it close. I believe that if the Commanders keep it close, they have a chance to steal it. I believed it last week. I didn't have the guts to pick the Commanders straight up. I picked them to cover. I did not have the guts to pick them straight up. But I think if they can keep it close, they can take it from them. And obviously they don't have a chance to win if it's a blowout. But the point is they have a knack for keeping it close, and they have a knack for winning close games. We've seen it. And this is the flip side of the Chiefs. They've done it so often this year. They're going to have confidence they can get it done. But the Lions have done it too. The Lions were not the 85 Bears. The Lions had to pull plenty of rabbits out of their butts this year. So, unlike other teams that might wilt under the pressure of a close game with a special season riding on it, I don't think the Lions will, which could make this a close game and a toss-up and a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I think there will be some plays, and it will be a fun game to watch. And I hear your point totally with Washington. If the game is close, it's like Detroit's going to feel the pressure. They will. At home, that game, I know they're not the Chiefs yet. The Chiefs, a divisional round game, that is barely you'll get a pulse out of them. So that's where they could feel the pressure. And, of course, with Jaden Daniels in the offense, you said it right. They're just so hard to stop in these gotta-have-it moments. That's where they're special. And to your point, right, because, like, you're all over it, Washington's offense is it's a ball control passing offense. And that's what they do. And it's rare that a rookie quarterback can play that style. But Detroit also does something that you and I have talked about a lot with other teams. Detroit ain't going to let that happen. Detroit will, I have confidence that they'll recognize the things you're saying. Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn are going to go, no, fuck all that. We're going to blitz. We're going to force the issue. If they go down and score a touchdown, our offense is back on the field. I don't think they'll die a slow death to this Washington offense. I think they'll go, hey, we're going to blitz and make something happen, or we're going to blitz and they make something happen, but we're not going to let them go on that 17-play, 7.5-minute drive that we've seen them do so many times this year.
Well, and that's the other question, too, that I just thought of. When the Lions had their bye week, what do you think they prepared for? Do you think they prepared for the Vikings? Did they prepare for the Rams? Did they prepare for the Commanders? Did they prepare for the Packers? What do you think they did?
I think I would bet you the Commanders were the team that they probably put the most time into, just because that's the team that they didn't have a look at this year, right? They know the Rams a little bit from playoffs and the regular season matchup this past year. They know Minnesota in their conference, right? They know Green Bay as well. They only played them a few weeks ago, and then, Minnesota right after that. So I would think Washington maybe got a little more due diligence just because of the unknown there in that bye week, and I think that will favor of course, Detroit and their great coaching staff.
They do have David Montgomery back as well. And, we've said in the past, maybe it wasn't a bad thing that they had to go all in with Jahmyr Gibbs. It reminded me of the days when the Bucs had Warwick Dunn and Mike Allstott, and one of them would get injured and the other one would carry the load. Jahmyr Gibbs, all due respect to David Montgomery, he's a lot more potent, and we saw what he did against the Vikings, and I don't know how much of the split they're going to get back to, but that complicates things given how the offense has been rolling without Montgomery.
Agreed. I like David Montgomery too, but he ain't Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs he's arguably the second best running back in football. Really. He's right up there with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. And I wouldn't take him over Saquon. Him and Derrick Henry, I would think about. I would. Jahmyr Gibbs is absolutely phenomenal, and I think they already proved our point. I mean, Montgomery got hurt, and all the highlight plays Gibbs has made from that point on. I mean, come on, that just shows you. Having said all that, Lions at home, loud crowd, Commanders pain in the ass for a while, but slowly but surely the cream rises to the top. I'm taking the Lions 34-21.
Okay, so you have them covering. See, this is the time of year that's dangerous for me because I grew up watching boring-ass playoff games, and I know how much more entertaining it is to watch a close and exciting playoff game. As exciting as it is to watch a close game in the regular season, you ramp it up 10, 20, 50 times when the loser gets the fuck out of the party. So I root for close games in the playoffs, and I allow that to affect my thinking. And I think this one will be close because I want it to be close, and I want it to be exciting. And I think the Lions will win a close game, 27-24, late field goal or field goal, as the case may be, for the Lions to advance to the NFC Championship for the second straight time and maybe, just maybe, punch their ticket to New Orleans. So I like the Lions by 3, but I recognize if it's that close, pretty good chance the Commanders are going to take it from them.
Second week in a row you're saying this. Sounds like you're just a chicken. Bark, 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 bark. Chicken,
all right, well,
chicken.
We'll find out. Hey, listen, you got a chance to pick up a game. Why are you complaining? You think they're going to cover. You got a chance to pick up a game.
No, that's already done for the year, though. You've already won versus the spread, so I'm not. That means nothing. That's right. Yep, cut them out. That's it. That was the best thing ever. Look at this. See that? Was that not a sign or not for you to take Washington? Gosh, that showed you. God just gave you a sign, like blurred you all up. You're fucking this up again, second week in a row.
God gave me the sign the other day when I didn't die when I hit the ice. So I have a new lease on life, which means I'm going to be even more of a dick until the day God takes me, because this is all found money at this point. All right, let's see if we can find you some money. Although we do not, at least I do not, recommend that you listen to my advice when the time comes to wager. We're going to take a break and look at the big games from Sunday: Rams, Eagles, and also me versus Big Dom. That's not going to happen. I survived the ice. I would not survive Big Dom. Get you ready for the Sunday games next here on PFT. PM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned. DraftKings Sportsbook is the number one place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app and use promo code PFTLive when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. And as always, please bet responsibly, only with money that you are prepared to lose, because if you listen to me, there is a damn good chance you shall. 3 o'clock Sunday, we will be in Philadelphia, possibly in the rain. Somebody will need to hold Rodney's umbrella. If that happens, that's still one of the all-time great clips from the 15 years I've been with the show. Somebody else holding an umbrella for Rodney. We will be outdoors in the elements for Rams-Eagles, not Vikings-Eagles. And we had a typo at one point, and I think one of my writers was trolling me. Our official schedule of the games this weekend said Vikings-Eagles. And I said, hey, that's wrong. I wish it was right, but it's wrong. It's the Rams and the Eagles. The Eagles favored by 6, over under a 43.5. And by the way, what, Jason Garrett has a game lead over both of us? Is that what it is? Mm-hmm. So if we split and he gets it wrong, one of us will catch him for the red vest. So maybe we should be conspiring. He can't do the four corners offense against us if we have different picks. He's just going to have to go out and make a pick and hope he's right.
Well, yeah, he's a sandbagging son of a bitch. That's what he is, and we're going to call it like it is. And we should have split up last week. That's what we messed up. We should have split last week, so he couldn't do that.
I should have taken the Commanders.
I
didn't have the guts to take the Commanders.
Yeah, right.
I didn't have the guts to take them.
Yeah, but that's where we let him off the hook, so we'll see where it goes. Now, we're with this matchup. All right, let me start with the Rams O versus the Eagles D. You good with that? Just a few things there. The Rams, their big thing is they got behind in the first matchup, right? Got up early and went up 7-0, but then got behind in the second quarter and then never got to really play balanced football from there. I think that's going to be imperative in this one. Because if it just becomes a Matthew Stafford, I got to drop back and save the day throwing the ball with my magical right arm all the time, they are going to get worked over, right? The Philadelphia defense, again, as you know, it's the number one defense in football, and it's real. And they're one of the best zone defenses in football, and they can play man-to-man. And they're going to go back and watch the film of the Rams game the first time around and go, oh, we can definitely play man-to-man. We actually locked them up. We got to worry about Puka, but everybody else we're going to feel good about. And I will be interested to see what they do in some obvious passing situations, if they maybe double Puka or some of that type of stuff to take him away and see if somebody else can beat them. That's going to be a thing. The Rams' offensive line was overpowered in the first match. Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, number 93, the other D tackle, had their way up front with the Rams' O-line. And then, of course, as the game went on, the pass rushers started to have their way too. So that's where I worry about. The Rams are going to have a special game plan. They're certainly going to have to be better running the football, and I think even a little more patient running the football than they were the first time around. And on top of that, I think they're going to have to be more aggressive in the pass game. The Eagles showed me in the first game the one thing they were worried about was Kyren Williams a little bit, and we've talked about this so much, Mike, that Rams 5 to 6 yard option route that they're so good at getting open, right? They showed hey, we're going to put another guy down in there, so if Kupp goes in or out, we have a guy there either way. We're not having some one guy try to cover him on a three-way go. So the Eagles played well. The Rams are going to have to do something drastically different. I think the Rams are going to come out aggressive. I think that's going to be the big thing here, and they're going to try to back this aggressive defense off with some big plays with Matthew Stafford's right arm.
Yeah, and Puka is incredible. You just throw him a little pass and he rumbles for 7 yards. As they were saying the other night, he's like a fullback with the football.
Yeah.
He is big, he is tough, he is strong, he is fearless, he catches anything that comes his way. He's taken over the mantle as number one receiver in the Rams offense right now. And look, Kyren Williams was running well last week. And if you're gonna, it's almost like we talked about earlier with the which team, the Commanders and the Lions. Keep the offense on the field. Keep that Philadelphia offense off the field.
Yeah.
Grind it up. Don't rush down the field like they did against the Vikings. It's not going to be easy, though, because the Eagles defense, as you say all the time, they're the most talented team in football on both sides of the ball. That Eagles defense is going to be ready. They're going to be in position to put pressure on Matthew Stafford. The Vikings didn't put much on him. He got rid of the ball for the most part before they could get to him. It is going to be a significant challenge for the Rams offense to duplicate what they did last week. And I was looking at the regular season matchup.
Yeah.
The final score of 37-20. It's like, why does that sound familiar? Well, last week we had a rematch of Bucks Commanders from the regular season, and the score was 37-20 when they met the first time around. Of course, the team that lost before won the second time, so I don't know that means a damn thing. It's just weird to see not a common 14-7 score.
Yeah,
pretty
right.
Specific 37-20 show up twice as a matter of a rematch of a regular season game. I think, and when you look at the Philadelphia offense and the fact that Saquon Barkley had 255 rushing yards, averaged 7.2 yards per carry. Was that it, or was it more than that? I have it up here. He averaged 9.8 yards per carry, had a long of 72 with 2 touchdowns. That if they can unleash him the way they did in the regular season, obviously, it doesn't matter what the Rams do offensively. If you can't slow down Saquon Barkley, you have no chance, because the Eagles are just going to methodically score and score and score. And you better score every time you have the ball, or you have no shot whatsoever. So We didn't see him used much in the first half last week. I think that changes this week. I think they're really going to grind it out with Saquon Barkley early. We'll see more than 9 carries for him in the first half. I think they're going to try to go right back to what they did that worked the last time around.
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, you're saying it right. It's going to take a special performance on the offensive side of the ball by the Rams, which we've seen them do before. So I don't count them out from that. With Stafford and McVay and Puka, like you said, and a running back that's damn good, they can be scary. And we know they can game plan some people and do some special things there too. But yes, like the defense is going to have to change. I mean, if there's a unit in football where these prior matchups where something drastically has to change, it's the Rams. The Rams are in trouble. This is a tough matchup. Now, their front seven's better now than when it was week 12 when they played. That's for sure. Right? They've got a little more experience. I think they know how to play as a unit a little bit better, understand the Shula scheme and get that. All that stuff is good. But, I mean, come on. You said it. It's 25 or 26 rushes for 255. It was an ass whooping. I mean, Mike, it's plays where there's 8 people at the line of scrimmage and it's still a 10-yard gain up the middle running the ball. It's plays where I go, they got their 3 D tackles in the game and they're still 5 yards down the field when they're running the ball. That is concerning. The Rams are going to have to leave their comfort zone and do some shit that they don't want to do or they're going to get blown out. I mean, listen, some of the looks in the game the first time around, the Eagles, the pass game looks were like ridiculous. They're going to look at that and go, hey, if they play us this way again, we got to do this and this and this and throw. We can't let them do that. I mean, that's ridiculous. And so they're going to have some looks and some opportunities that are going to be incredible for Jalen Hurts and the 2 wide receivers in the pass game. And the Rams have to be worried about being overpowered, whether it's Saquon Barkley, the quarterback runs, all of that. There's going to be issues there. And then, of course, they're a team that doesn't like to play man-to-man, and you don't want to play man-to-man against this group. And that's the bind that, Shula and McVay are going to have to figure out. Can they figure out ways to run game blitz and cause some havoc for Saquon Barkley in the run game without also kind of protecting the back end and not leaving them in vulnerable positions? I don't know if it's possible. It's going to be a tough hill to climb for this Rams defense in this matchup. This is a tough matchup for them.
All right, so, and let me just say one thing.
Yeah.
We've seen in the past where when you got a rematch of a regular season game, the team that won, you get yourself twisted up in knots. Do we just go back and do what we did? They're going to know that we're likely going to do what we did. Maybe we got to do something different than what we did, the way we did it, because it won't be as easy to do it this time around. Will that get into Nick Sirianni's head, Kellen Moore's head, Vic Fangio's head? Will they change things for the sake of changing things because they fear they won't be able to replicate what they did the last time around? That's one of the questions I have about this.
It's a fair question. And with a guy like McVay and Shula and all them, you have to have you can go into the game going, hey, we're going to do what we did the last time, but we're anticipating they do this differently the next time. And we're going to have some plays for that if they do things differently, right? I think that's going to be what it is. I think it'll be more of like they're not going to confuse themselves, but they're going to – you got to kind of sometimes, especially the playoffs and a special coach like McVay, you got to kind of see the unforeseen and go, wait, what have they done in the past when this has happened to them? What's kind of their avenue they take to combat the problems that, we pose for them? And I would expect that they're ready for it. Might not go to it right away, but once they see it, they go, okay, we're being played this way. Good thing we prepared for this fail-safe plan and go from there. I'm going Eagles, 37-17. I think the Rams hang around, but kind of like the last time. I just think the Eagles will slowly wear their ass out and beat them down, 37-17.
So are you basically saying they're going to whoop that ass like you said last week? Are you saying they're going to kick the shit out of them? Are you saying it's a bye week?
I'm not saying it's a bye week, but sure. I mean by 37-17, I would say that's whooping that ass. I would say that, yes.
All right. You'll be disappointed to know that I've also picked the Eagles, and I've also picked the cover by 1 point, 27-20. I think the Rams will keep it interesting, and again, that's that part of me that just wants to have a good game. I want to watch a good game. I want to experience the excitement of a game that could go either way. I think back to that 49ers-Saints divisional round game from 2011. I still remember watching that game and appreciating how special it was because it's rare in the postseason to get a close, exciting divisional round game like that. And I want that. I want that again, but I don't think at the end of the day the Rams are going to be able to do it with all the distractions they've had. And what they did on Monday was heroic. It was phenomenal. It was inspired. I think that takes a lot out of your tank. And to go back to L.A. on Monday night, Tuesday morning, and then have to go to Philly and play on Sunday with all the shit that's been going on that everybody's dealing with in L.A., I think that it's just a little too much. And the ride ends for the Rams in Philadelphia. So, Eagles fans, please be aware, we have both picked the Eagles to win. We have not picked the Rams to win. Please do not throw snowballs, batteries, slices of pizza, or tomatoes at us. Thank you. Take a break. The last game of the divisional round, which could end up being the game of the year, which probably means it won't be. Next on PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
DraftKings Sportsbook is the number one place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app. Use promo code UNBUTTONED when you sign up. That's promo code UNBUTTONED when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
All right, it's PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned divisional round preview. We've talked about 3 of the games. There is one left, and it could be the best game of the weekend. The closest spread by far. The others are 9.5, 8.5, and 6. This one is 1.5. Ravens favored on the road as the 3 seed against the 2nd-seeded Buffalo Bills. Both won in relatively easy fashion in the wild card round. Over under a 51.5. The Ravens are the only road favorite this week. I'm 13-5 picking Baltimore games against the spread this season. You are 14-4 with Bills games straight up this season. Zay Flowers not looking good for the Ravens for the 2nd straight game after suffering a Week 18 knee injury. But the Ravens are the Ravens. The Browns is the Browns, and the Ravens are the Ravens. With Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and the defense has gotten better. Dean Pease doesn't get the credit he should for what he's done when he arrived as a consultant and kind of helped Zach Orr in his first year as a coordinator get that defense next level. So where do we start with this one? I'll let you go wherever you want to go talking about matchups. We got offense versus defense on both sides, and both sides have some compelling questions.
Definitely. I think let's start with the Ravens O and the Bills D, right? Because the Ravens O just had their way with the Bills defense in that first matchup. Now, it's week 4, so I don't put as much stock into that matchup as maybe some of the other ones we broke down. Still early in the year, if you remember right, Baltimore was 1-2. That was a big desperation game. You know, you don't want to start 1-3 and have lost to the Chiefs and the Bills, right? So they were ready to go that night. But within that, a little bit like we just talked about with the Rams, the Bills defense would be just like the Rams defense, and of all these matchups and the rematch and all that, they drastically have to change. They can't do what they did. I don't know what they were thinking the first time around. I mean, again, the game starts with an 87-yard touchdown. Perfectly blocked, just bam, 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 dominate them. The Bills, as we've talked about before, they're not very big up front. That's scary. You know, I've made the point like a few times over the last few weeks. When you're getting ready to play a team like the 49ers and you're just admitting they're going to run for 200 yards on you, when a defensive coach just admits that just tells you he's worried about his run defense in totality. I don't give what the team's coming to town. But this is the Ravens and Derrick Henry. So they're going to have to change some things up. They're going to have to crowd the line of scrimmage. In the first matchup, they played simple, kind of bland, normal defenses and played depth, almost like they were like, let's not let up the big play and let's just rally and tackle. Well, within doing that, they took away nothing and basically gave the Ravens big plays in every area that they wanted. So that was an issue. Yeah, they're going to have to leave their comfort zone. McDermott's going to have to be special in finding ways to get guys at the line of scrimmage and then drop out into certain zones throughout his breakdowns of the Ravens offense. And they're going to have to play a little man-to-man. They're going to have to, and that's where the Zay Flowers injury is huge, because Zay Flowers is, after Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, your next headache. He's your biggest headache. Oh, wait, Lamar does the RPO. Oh, no, now it's Zay Flowers one-on-one, and we know in space he's about as dangerous as anybody in the game. Oh, one-on-one coverage. He can just run by us or catch a slant and go by all of us. Do all of that. So that's going to embolden Buffalo to, I think, take a few more chances in man-to-man. But yeah, they're going to have to play the game of the year on the defensive side of the ball, and McDermott's going to have to come up with a special game plan where he can find the right balance of creating some chaos and messing up some of the scheme of Baltimore, yet, it might be a hair unsound, and he might go, oh, gosh, if they throw it here, I'm in trouble, but I think he's going to have to take some chances in this one to stop this awesome Ravens offense like you're talking about.
The Bills didn't have Matt Milano.
Yeah, that's a huge deal.
That's what I wanted you to address.
Thank you.
What difference does his presence make when it comes to dealing with Lamar and Derrick Henry as running threats?
I'm glad you did that because it's one of my first lines in my notes here. Him being back is huge. One, he's phenomenal, just ball-hawking middle linebacker, right, who has the senses in the field to go, oh, wait, he didn't give it to Derrick Henry. Lamar kept it. Oh, I can go tackle Lamar one-on-one, right? He's certainly special that way. The biggest thing, though, that they get is the quarterback of their defense. And this is a defense in big games that McDermott will put a lot on them mentally, and you'll see. And I think we'll see this on Sunday night, where it might be trips right by Baltimore, and they're in one defense, and one receiver motions to the other side, and we go, you're going to see them all go crazy and get to a totally another defense. And that's where Milano is key to them. I think a little bit in that Baltimore Ravens game the first time around, and when I talked about the simplicities of the defense, I think that was part of it. They were like, some of our younger middle linebackers here, I don't want to confuse them too much or do that, and let's get out of position. I don't think they're going to have to worry about this time around, and I almost think they're forced in that corner this time around if they want to slow down Lamar.
By the way, we've seen guys parlay their names into endorsement deals. There's a Josh Sweat commercial for some sort of laundry detergent. How has there never been a Pepperidge Farm hookup for Matt Milano? Pepperidge Farm, what the hell are you doing? Come on, man. You got to be paying somebody the big bucks to realize this is low-hanging fruit.
Mint Milanos are like one of my favorite cookies
awesome.
in the history of the planet, right? I
Those
love them.
Expensive. I remember when I was in college and I had no money whatsoever, I'd be at the grocery store and I'd wander by the expensive-ass Pepperidge Farm cookies and wish I had enough money to buy them before I went and got my little bowls of a cup of ramen and, the cheapest frickin' generic brand cookies that they had available at the store. Anyway, I'm getting hungry now. When the Bills have the ball, and James Cook is not a slouch. He's not Derrick Henry. He had 1,000 rushing yards. He scored a bunch of touchdowns. Can the Bills match the Ravens? Because that was the biggest problem with the Steelers. By the time they woke up and started scoring points, it was too late. They couldn't match the Ravens early in the game when the Ravens were just hot knife through butter. Can the Bills go hot knife through the Ravens' defense to keep it close and maybe make it a shootout?
I think they can. I do. I think they can do listen, they're going to have to play their best game of the year. That's it. This is a tough matchup with them in Baltimore, but they're capable of it. They are. And to your point, too, the first matchup, I think they let the Ravens' run defense and the mystique kind of scare them out of the pass game early. They got too pass game happy. Watching back that film, when they ran the ball, they pushed the Ravens. I think the Ravens' run defense is overrated. I've been saying that. I know it's the number one run defense in football, but part of that is because when everybody played them, they're like, why run it? We can throw for 300 yards at will, so I don't want to run. But Buffalo, as we've discussed many a times, I think this is the best supporting cast ever around Josh Allen. I do think if they even want to play, let's play surgical, run the ball, chew up the clock, keep Lamar by the Gatorade bottles, right? I think they're capable of doing that, right? So that's going to be a big thing too. But I think the run game is definitely going to be different this time around. And don't forget this, Mike. You brought up Matt Milano. Amari Cooper wasn't there the first time. Keon Coleman was still trying to learn how to play football in the NFL. They're different now with Shakir and Amari Cooper and the two tight ends and really infiltrating them into the offense. And, of course, James Cook, like you set up. So they pose a few more problems for this Baltimore team than they did early on in the year.
All right, so I have a feeling we're going to go into the final three games of the postseason either tied or I'm going to be up by 2 because I have a feeling we're picking different winners in this one. How about we say the straight-up winner on the count of 3? You want to do that?
Sure.
You want to do that?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Ravens. Yep.
Fuck.
Yep. We're together. I know. I thought about
what's your
it.
score?
I thought about it. I did. And I do think the Bills can upset them. I certainly am not saying that. The Ravens have just been playing such good football. And like I said in times, this is a matchup league. You know that. And to me, this is one of the toughest matchups for Baltimore. Josh Allen will have to be special beyond special, and the offense will have to be special beyond special, I think, for them to win the game. I'm going to go 30-28. Ravens late field goal wins the game.
Almost. Just 1 point away from bingo bango. It's almost close enough we should just play it anyway. I got 31-28 Ravens.
Jeez, that's amazing. Yep. So you're saying late field goal wins it all.
Oh, yeah. Field goal, 3-pointer, whatever. The Ravens end up advancing for a rematch from week 1, the Isaiah Likely toe on the line game. They get to play again under our prediction. We'll see if our prediction.
We can't go wrong either way in the AFC. I mean,
Bills, Chiefs.
Well, we think, right.
Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, Chiefs. I mean, if the Texans would upset the Chiefs, good for the Texans. But, man, does anybody really want to see Texans at Ravens after what we saw on Christmas Day?
No.
And Texans fans can get mad at me all they want. They're the team that lost 31-2 at home on Christmas. So, all right, let's take a break. Best bets. We have one for the weekend each, and our Folsom Prison Blues pick next on PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned. PFTPM, Chris Simms Unbuttoned, Joint Mega Picks podcast. 4 games this week. We disagree on none straight up. We disagree on one against the spread. I've got the Commanders covering. You don't. Now we have one best bet each. Who do you have?
Well, I'm going the Philadelphia Eagles. I am. 6 points. I'm scared of the Rams, certainly. I know the championship culture they have there, but I think the Eagles are a championship-type football team, plus on the grass and about 20-degree weather, it sounds like. In that football game, I like the Eagles.
Am I partially motivated by a desire to not have batteries thrown at me? Am I partially motivated by a desire to not have Big Dom literally throw me out of the stadium? I don't know, but that's mine too. Eagles -6. Even though I picked it 27-20, I think the Eagles will cover. Bingo,
I
think
think
that was one of mine. So does that count? That's close enough.
Sure.
I just like to hear it.
Sure.
Yeah, Pete wants us to disagree for the sake of his entertainment. Pete, we're trying to get things right here. We're not trying to make you happy. We're trying to be right. Okay, Folsom Prison Blues pick. Straight up, winner, lying in a gutter. Who would you take? Who do you have? Probably the Eagles.
I'm still taking the Eagles. I am. I'm going Eagles again, 100%.
I'll say Chiefs.
Okay.
Because I think the Chiefs
about
find
that
a way
too.
to win. I'll be stunned if their ride to a third straight Super Bowl is interrupted by a divisional round loss, like the Dolphins was in 1974. Not this time.
Enjoy the weekend.
Games.
Best weekend of the year. See ya. Thanks for watching Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It's playoff time, baby.
So make sure to smash that subscribe button, as they say. We got game recaps coming up. We got all of our Super Bowl 59 coverage from Radio Row. You will be in New Orleans yourself.
And you're going to be there at some point, too, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
Thanks again for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies.